I'm Jim Csek with Kelowna Now. I'm here with Lyndon Dyas, TD Benefits. We
Great to
talk
be back.
benefits all the time, and then today we're going to talk about AI and benefits. You were at the AI Summit that we put on September 27th. Lots of good stuff there. You stayed for the full day. What was one of your big takeaways from that?
I think just learning all the capabilities that ultimately I wasn't aware of that AIs have implications on in business today. Kane, seeing him be up there and just talk about the different platforms that are available, AIs, extremely exciting, I felt, to be honest, and just to know that it's not here necessarily to replace all facets of business, but make things easier. And just knowing that in our industry for insurance and employee benefits, there are parts of it that are so personal with meeting with clients and, building that emotion and rapport that should never change. But there's things within our depths of, on how we put proposals together and access quotes and data input that are ultimately going to change. And I just found learning about things like that it's definitely going to impact our industry.
Yeah, I think it'll impact all industries. It's basically they've created, or we are creating, the best hammer ever, right? So to date, anyway, like this tool hammer is gonna kind of like give you the ability to 10x yourself and allow you to kind of like offload a lot of the non-value added activities, more the administrative functions onto, let AI do a lot of that work, the heavy lifting, I guess.
Big time. And I think I'm 100% guilty of the many individuals who kind of turned a blind eye to it, thinking, what, is that scary? Like, I don't really want to learn too much about this. Is it here to what kind of changes are coming? But it's literally at our disposal. And, a lot of these platforms are literally free. And if we learn a little bit about them and we can, implement these into our businesses to make us more effective and efficient.
Competitive.
Right. Well, I know my competitors in the industry are going to be probably implementing different forms of AIs to be more productive.
So you don't have much choice other than to compete. Right?
Exactly. So from a small business standpoint, to be a little bit more efficient and, have things maybe move along a little bit quicker and, I just see it as definitely a bonus and, like I said, exciting. And, we can talk about some different things where I think it will impact the industry directly.
I think it really allows you to become more creative because it takes away a lot of the more mundane tasks. It leaves you more time to kind of create it and kind of like grow your business or even like dream more, right? Like it allows you to dream and expand more.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess an example I have is just looking at things that, for instance, let's say, you meet with clients. One of the very important initial components of putting employee benefit programs together is collecting data. And that data is personal. Employee information, we need names, we need birth dates, we need that information so we can build proposals. So that I can't see changing. You're not going to get too much AI involved there. But then when we're sending these proposals into the insurance companies, you're usually looking at like 8 to 12 business days turnaround time for them to put in this data and get proposals prepared. There's a huge opportunity here for, it's humans inputting this information. Yeah. For proposals, as we move down this line of efficiency, and proposals should be returned to advisors in 24 hours
or less or instantaneously.
Exactly. So, you look at these things and, with what maybe can change and pivot in the industry, I just see opportunities rather than, things that may affect us in a negative way. But again, I've just scraped the surface on it. I'm interested, to learn more.
So it's like the glass half full as opposed to glass half empty.
Yeah, and being cautious as well, right? I mean, I understand everyone's flavor in this concept is probably a little bit different. It is new. But again, knowing that it can impact our businesses in a positive way. And that's just an example, which with what I see, underwriting for, assessing risk. You know what I mean? Like once these,
I think it's going to be huge in insurance. And I'll just use an example of wildfire. I did a thing with a company where they're going to be able to do satellite mapping of your homes and that, and they're going to be able to label that home as high or low risk based on, like the trees around it. So like some homes will end up benefiting and some will be probably given like, hey, here's some things you need to do.
Totally, which is important because think about different insurance policies for home insurances. I mean, that's not the industry I'm necessarily involved in, but if you live in a high forest fire area, I mean, it's probably getting tougher and tougher to get that.
Well, you're going to be higher risk, right? For sure. Yeah.
So that would be a component of it as well.
I think just in everything, I think it'll insurance in general will reward people that kind of look after themselves too, right? You'll start to see like low risk things where people will be able to insure for more, right? So, and then AI will actually help in life insurance too, because if, that there's a stat out there that says if everybody had self-driving cars, it would save 900,000 lives a year.
Totally.
globally,
And
right?
like I said, I mean, all the risk assessments done by humans, right? And that's not necessarily going to change, or I'm saying he's going to be impacted, but you're looking at tables to essentially find premiums, and based off of health and everything along these lines. You know, all the underwriting at insurance companies is done by humans, and whether or not that changes in the future, who knows? But yeah, it's just all data input and, you know, volume of it that's taking place. So nonetheless, interesting.
One thing computers do really well is process data, right?
For
Or
sure.
data. Like, I mean, it's incredible. Peter Diamandis was our keynote speaker, and from what I hear from so many people is that he was very inspiring, and just on what he shared is kind of like the vision of a better tomorrow.
Yeah, depths of knowledge that gentleman had. I mean, just listening to him speak, it was captivating, to be honest. And I mean, just a lot more knowledge on the topic. So again, you're learning. That's why I think it's so interesting, especially from someone my level who's just, you know, scraping the surface, like I said, on this in this new world that businesses are able to like get access to, and, you know, make their businesses more efficient. But yeah, he's a very bright gentleman, and, you know, sharing his opinions, and you guys being able to get him to be there to present, I think was awesome. And I didn't know much about him previously, so yeah, it was very interesting to.
I think even with the like one of the topics that came out, I think the Bitcoin guy and also Peter, like a lot of stuff will trend to zero, not go to zero, but the trend to zero. So we're going to start to see declining costs, disinflationary environments, as opposed to, you know, our typical inflationary environments. And that's probably the same for benefits. We'll be able to access more competitive quotes, and people will be, you know, like kind of like rated on different risk scales and stuff like that too, and allow you to have more flexible plans. And
definitely, right? And just speeding up the process of being able to get in front of people to present proposals and such, right? I mean, it's not like it's completely stalled and slow industry in that regard, but I just see it moving forward in a, you know, in a positive way where, you know, it's going to become more innovative and perhaps rely on different AIs to, you know, boost itself in the industry. So
yeah, even
positive takeaways from what I'm able to see.
Even with communication with I know it's gotten better, especially after COVID, where you do a lot of stuff online. But I think with AI, it'll even be better for the client, like on client side, when they're actually, you know, putting in for their benefits and all that kind of stuff too, when they're claiming, right?
For the most part, most carriers do have like a chatbot, let's say. Like you can go online and you can speak to someone, but like, again, it's nothing that's too sophisticated. But and again, it depends on the individual's flavor, but let's say you log into your app and you're having an issue, or you want to know something about your plan. And, you know, one thing that I feel will never change is people pick up the phone and call you. I mean, we still get calls at our office all the time because they have general questions, and you know, it's a great opportunity to speak to your clients too. So that should never change, right? That's important to us. But, you know, chatbots that you can log on to, and essentially they should know absolutely everything about the plan. It's literally a computer.
You get most of the questions answered just like that.
So for them to be able to answer questions that you may have 100% accurately, it's important, right? Because it just keeps that individual moving along, and the information is, you know, streaming fluently, which is how it should be, right? So little things like that of course are available, but I think that progresses and gets better as well.
Yeah, and I think even people just with the tools be able to work more remote lots of times too. I think just that remote work activity and
absolutely. And I think maybe you've seen it too, just like the marketing capabilities, right? That you're able to generate. And
then it can do A/B tests. It can do all kinds of things. They actually have models out there right now that are training to actually act as sales agents that can make phone calls, and then as it's speaking to somebody, it can tell their language, their educational level, and it'll start talking to that person in kind of in their own language and level.
See,
right?
That's wild.
Do you know what I mean? So it's not talking over somebody's head or you know what I mean? It's just and then it can, you know, sense what, you know, their objections, and then pivot based on, you know, like if you have somebody doing scripting, you know, they typically don't pivot, they just stay on script, but these AI models will be able to pivot on that. And then the other thing is just even a personal assistant, right? Like sort of like, you know, like you're driving in, you'll be able to communicate with your car and say, you know, like set up my appointments with these 3 clients, and it'll do all that for you instead of you having to, you know, spend that time in kind of like non-value added activities, and then spend more time just dealing with the client.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just think again, just to say the biggest takeaway from attending now is just, are you doing everything to the max efficiency in your organization, right? And I think with the new technologies, the answer probably is no, you know, with what you're able to access now, right? So it's just being open to new ideas and suggestions without feeling a fear of, hey, is this replacing all these different items in the business world? No, it's not. It's just providing opportunities, right, to essentially let you become more efficient. So
more creative too, like, and spend more time on the business as opposed to like, you know, like the administrative functions that most people don't like anyway.
Exactly.
Right.
And I know I don't personally, but
yeah,
it's an important part of
most
business.
people don't like, you know, like even sometimes even in the email. I mean, I use it like every day now, right? Especially even when I write something, I'll just put it in there and say, can you make this better? So I don't spend as much time correcting myself, like backspacing, fixing that, because I know I'm just going to put it in there and just it'll fix it itself. I just basically put some bullets in, and then it'll do the rest, right? So it allows me to do a lot more, right? And I can ask a lot of questions too, and I use it for research a lot, right? So,
yeah. No, it's interesting, and I think it's gonna make a lot of tasks.
The world's changing
different
fast.
And easier, so
right? Faster
it is.
and faster.
And that's you got to open your eyes to it. Like I said, there's two ways you can decide to proceed with it. You can either turn the blind eye and say, you know what, I don't want to be involved with that because it's a little scary and I don't want to get in my business. But on the other side of it, there's people in your industry, in all industries, that are wanting to know what the capabilities are, right? And they're going to position themselves further ahead. So I mean, my takeaway is jump in and
my big one is definitely, like, we live in a world of abundance and we need to have that mindset, and I think that will help us all get to a better place, I think, right? Instead of a world of scarcity.
Definitely. Absolutely.
There you go.
Perfect.
That's it for today. You've been watching Kelowna Now, and we'll be back with the next one. Thank you for watching Kelowna Now.